It is Thursday. What's today's date? December the 29th, 1 p.m. here on the west coast of the United States. As you can tell, I have our surprise guest for us today. We're gonna have a lot of fun. I think you guys are gonna ask a lot of questions of my wife. She's gonna have to answer all of them. So I decided to just have fun for the last stream of the year and have my wife on because I didn't have a guest for today. And I was like, and she hates this stuff. She doesn't like being on camera. So it took some convincing. So my wife's name is Araz, for those who don't know. I think there's a number of people in here that know her. You guys are more than welcome to ask her any question you want. And you guys can ask her questions about me if you want. She'll, hello, Mrs.
Hello. Hello.
Okay. You can talk.
What do you want me to say?
Introduce yourself. Tell everyone, your background. That's important. And what you do for a living.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Araz, and I was born in Iran. I lived there until I was 11, 12. And then I left, lived in Austria for 6 months, and then we had to do the paperwork to come here, and then we came here. And I've been living here since then. Should I tell you about my age?
Hold it closer. Sure, who cares? Everyone knows I'm 37.
I'm 35. But a few weeks ago, I thought I was 36, and then I found out that, no, my birthday hasn't come yet, and I'm still 35. I don't like public speaking, which is funny because I'm a teacher, and when I teach, I am a completely different person, and I'm okay with that. But other than teaching, I don't like public speaking as much.
What do you teach?
I teach our children at a homeschooling co-op in the mornings, and then I also teach ESL at a community college.
Teach English as a second language?
Yes.
Is English your second language?
Yes.
That's
Well,
nuts.
third. English is my third language.
When did you guys come to the United States?
Right before 9/11.
That's crazy, huh? Everything shut down, and they were able to make it. Okay, so few months before. So, she's a teacher. Like, there are people who teach, but they're not teachers, right?
Yeah.
Would you say that? Yeah. So she's a teacher. Everything she does is a teaching. You do. Am I wrong? No. She teaches in various capacities. She served in all sorts of different ministries and stuff like that. We won't go into the details of that. So here's a question. How did you get into teaching?
Well, growing up all my life, when I was a little kid, I would put my dolls, and I would copy exactly what my teachers would do. I had a grade book. I would grade them. I would teach whatever my teachers taught. I would reteach them. And so I knew I wanted to be a teacher. But when I was, I think, 9th grade, I would tell everyone I want to be a teacher, and I was so excited, and everyone would be like, really? There's nothing else you can do? There's no money in there. Don't go into teaching. It's not a good profession to have, blah, blah, blah. So I decided to try something else, and I said, okay, I'm going to do accounting. I'm going to have an office job. And then I got an internship at Armenian American Chamber of Commerce, and I hated it because I was in the office the whole time, no interaction with anyone, just paperwork after paperwork after paperwork, and I hated it. And I said, you know what, I am going back to teaching, and that's where I went back, and I haven't looked back ever since. But if I have a horrible memory, I cannot memorize. If I could memorize and if I had a good memory, I would love to be a surgeon. That's my dream job. But I guess, I guess that didn't happen, and I stuck to teaching.
I'd be rich if she was a surgeon, like a brain surgeon or something. Do you speak Farsi as well? Farsi baladi.
Baladi. Bale, Farsi baladam. Yes, I do. I speak Farsi. Not that well. My vocabulary is, I would say, 3rd grade level. But
You got to practice a lot of it in Armenia.
yes, we went to Armenia, and surprisingly, as soon as we landed, I was called to translate, and yeah, so my Farsi got better in Armenia.
So John Clash has a bad memory as well. That's why he has AI do his memorizing for him. A bunch of YouTube guys have been, and girls, I guess, have been doing a bunch of AI videos. I haven't done any because I haven't come up with a good idea. But hi, Anna. Anna says, hi, love you guys.
Love you too.
Thanks for being here. Okay, guys, so you guys can ask Araz any question you want. You guys can ask Araz questions about me from her perspective. I think that would be fun. You guys are more than welcome to ask relationship and marriage questions. Some background. We have been married for almost 10 years. So May 4th, this upcoming year, I remember it. I remember it because it's an easy day to remember because it's Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. Why thanks to you?
Because I picked the date.
Yeah, that's true. I don't even remember that. But it's also because our son's birthday, our youngest son, his birthday is May 5th. So it's easy to remember that stuff. So we're coming up on 10 years. We our whole like dating and engagement time took two years, almost exactly 2 years. So a year and a half into it, we were engaged. 6 months after that, we were married. You guys can ask wedding questions. We had a phenomenal.
Wrong time.
What are you talking about? December, we got engaged. What?
November. You proposed in November.
December 10th. No, it was probably November 10th. Okay, November 10th. She has a bad memory, right? November 10th or 11th or whatever like that. Doesn't matter anymore. Engagements don't matter. Marriage matters.
And then 7 months later.
7 months. It's a month here, there. Doesn't matter. So, are you of Afghani descent?
Not that I know of.
No.
But you can tell them the story about
She's Armenian.
how dark I was.
So, yeah, that's a fun story. Okay. She was a lot darker when we got married because she spent a lot more time outside the house, under the sun. And
Going to the beach and tanning.
correct. Going to the beach and tanning. I hate the beach, by the way. So she loves the beach. But we went on a missionary trip. Short-term mission trip. That's not a missionary trip. It's a short-term mission trip to help out a church in Miami. And we were serving in a predominantly Haitian community. And so my youth pastor, who had become a pastor of a church there, we were serving with them and helping them out. His wife would always joke. My youth pastor and his wife are black, and Jack would be considered an actual African Armenian American because he was born in Liberia, but Jael, his wife, is Panamanian, but black, and she would always joke with me and tell me that I was going to marry a black woman because our children would be very beautiful if I did, skin tone wise. And when we were there, Araz was sitting with a bunch of Haitians, and from the back, you couldn't, like the back side, you couldn't tell them apart skin tone wise. And so I told her, I said, see, I told you. Or I said, you were right. I ended up marrying a black woman. She was very dark. But no, but Farsi language, so Farsi is Iranians speak Farsi, and then, and Afghanis speak Dari, which is a sister language of Farsi. They can understand each other, but they're not like one-to-one, right?
Mm-hmm.
There we are. Here we're getting a breakdown here. Afghanis speak Dari. Um, here's a question: was Arthur this smart when you first met him? She met me right before I started seminary.
I don't think so.
Really?
I don't know. Were you? He has matured. I can tell you that. But smartness, I don't know, because at that time he was just busy at school, so I don't know. Um, but it's funny because years before we met, um, we kept missing each other because we were in the same circle, but somehow either I would go or he would go, and somehow we never met. And I'm so happy that we didn't meet, because had we met, I don't think we would be together, because he was not as mature as he was when we met. God really prepared him to be with me, in my opinion.
And God really prepared you, because I don't think I would have liked to be with you at that point in time. So yeah, it was very interesting. We were in the same circles. We went to their church camp. She just wasn't at that camp for some weird reason. And we would have met there. Didn't happen. And a bunch of other events and stuff like that. So, but I was at a play where you were in the play, but you never caught my eye. Because all the girls looked the same.
Yeah. They were this little.
Correct. Yeah, they were like angels, and they had put them all the way in the background. They're like, just look pretty. Let's see. So I think I was smart. Yeah, let me bust the Andrew Tate. With my genius brain, let me tell you. He keeps saying stuff like that. I'm such a genius. Would you like it if your husband spoke like that?
Nope.
Let me tell you with my genius mind what this is about. Let me break it down for you. I don't want to name them, but when did you leave the church we both attended?
I don't remember. When did I leave?
Before 2011.
Yeah.
2008.
So, I was serving this church that he's talking about for a while, for a very long time. I was very involved, and then I left and I went to a different church, and I served at a different church, and then I met Arthur, and that when things became serious, I just started coming to his church. And for the longest time, I couldn't call his church my church, so I would just call it your church or Arthur's church, because for me, I still had a connection with the previous churches that I had gone to, and it took a while for me to actually give in and say, okay, this is my church, this is my home, I'm not going anywhere else. So yeah, we are serving together at this church. We've been serving since I guess I started coming to this church, which is over 10 years ago.
Okay. So her name is Araz. So there's variants of this name, Araz or Arax. It is a river that runs. It's a regional river. It's an offshoot of the Euphrates River, and it runs into Armenia, Iran, Turkey. I think a portion of it also runs into Azerbaijan.
But only a small part of it is called Araz. It's not the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's the part that crosses Ararat.
Yeah.
It's the part.
So my wife and my children have extremely Armenian names, and I don't. There's a question being asked here. FIFA night tonight? It's being asked to me.
No way.
We have Bible study tonight.
No.
No. No, man, we don't cancel Bible studies. We're men. We study the Word of God. Play FIFA. Were you always a Christian?
I was.
Some testimony.
So I was born into a Christian family. My great-grandfather was a pastor, or I would say missionary, because he would go around and and my grandfather.
This is all in Iran.
Yes, my grandfather, who passed away in the summer, he was an elder, and well respected. So I grew up in church. I was born and I started Sunday school. So I guess I was always a Christian. When I was 11 years old, I learned what it is to actually like, I don't know, confess and have a or want to have a relationship with God. And so I did the prayer around 11, always read the Bible in different or I can't say different languages, in Farsi and in Armenian back then. And when I was 16, 17, that's when my hardship began, and I don't know if I should go into detail.
However you want.
I don't know. What do you think?
Can you generally speak about it?
Yeah, my hardship began, and I thought that there was no point for me to live, so I tried committing suicide, and then I got healed from it through prayer, and then I started serving church again, and here we are today.
Yeah. So we don't use that word on the internet.
Oh, sorry.
Because because the YouTube algorithm sometimes picks it up and flags it. We call it deleting oneself.
Okay.
This is internet language.
I tried to delete myself.
She tried a self-deletion. Yeah. So thank God, obviously, that stuff wasn't effective. And here you are, the mother of 3 children.
Yes. And I'm extremely stubborn, so I would have gone through with it, but I didn't. I mean, somehow I was
Rescued from it.
rescued.
Yes, she is stubborn. We have it on camera that my wife is stubborn. If you guys, again, I'm telling you, relationships, we have a very...
Don't say open.
No, are you crazy? No, I know how to pick the proper words. I want to say unique. We have a very unique relationship. Yeah. So usually you meet folks. We're both very. Can we say like type A personalities? We're both very outspoken. Kind of, if we know we want something, we go after it, which causes issues in our marriage, and has caused issues, and probably will in the future. But very practical the way we deal with things. We're extremely lovey-dovey.
Yes.
Oh man. Yeah, so those are some of the things. Like I would, please feel free to ask questions, because it just arranges itself differently. Yeah, we're totally not very lovey-dovey. We communicate love in different ways. Yeah, by fighting and arguing. We actually we became interested in one another by having arguments, like of a theological nature, and so that was cool. What do you look for in a man? So she's not looking any longer because she's found one, but Carl.
No, what do women?
Oh, he said. Oh, it said. Okay, sorry, my bad, Carl. What do women look for in a man?
I think every woman is different. So I can't speak generally for all women. But for me, I had, so when I was 21, again, I'm going to say it again. I don't know if it's going to come and bite me later on. I'm very stubborn, and I know what I want, and I'm a go-getter. So when I was 21, I sat down and I wrote a list of everything that I wanted to that I wanted my future husband to have. And I wrote down things that I don't want my future husband to have. And I started praying for it. And then years passed and I completely forgot about it. And then when I met Arthur, I got reminded of the list, and when I went back, he almost met all the things on the list. Oh, you didn't?
No, this is new news. I wanted. Where's that list?
I don't know. No.
Anytime we have an argument, I'm gonna bring that list up. I've met
I said
qualifications.
almost.
Yes, okay. Here and there, one thing.
So I think every woman is different, and it's very important to I would speak for you rather than for the other person, for you to know who you are and what you're looking for.
This is a guy asking this question.
I know. For Carl to know who he is and what he's looking for.
Oh, in a woman.
Yeah. Like, no, but first he doesn't know who he is. Yeah. So a lot of times relationship complications come up because people don't know who they are. So I think it's very important for you to know who you are and what you're looking for, and what you're willing to compromise, because relationships are all about compromising.
Correct. Okay, so since I met the likes of, I didn't know about this list, so this is new news for me. Well, I was gonna say something. Okay, yeah. So you didn't want like a guy who was a sissy.
Yes.
No sissy man. Okay. But what are the difficulties with being with a guy that is as hard-headed and as opinionated as I am?
So I'm gonna answer it in a different way. So
I'm more humble than I was.
Yes. So when I was ready to be in a relationship, I had to have conversations with myself because, again, I'm a leader. I'm a natural leader. I'm a go-getter. I say what I want, and I go for it. I try my best to get whatever I want. And so I had to have conversations with myself, and I had to teach or kind of like remind myself not to be the leader or the boss of the relationship, because I want the guy to be the head of the relationship. And that's why a lot of times I rejected people because I didn't think that they would be the leader of the relationship, which if I were to be with them and I would lead, I think I would be very happy because I would be in control of everything. But I had to step back and I had to kind of teach myself that no, that's not biblical, and I cannot be the leader, and I have to step back or step down and let my husband and the guy be the leader. So a lot of times I had to stop and kind of remind myself to do that. Did that kind of answer your question?
I think so. She asked for hair, and boom. She wrote down, must have hair, and boom, Arthur. Is that one of the things I didn't meet, the qualifications? You wanted a guy with really long, wavy hair?
Not long, no. No, I don't know if, hair wasn't there. But he had hair when we started talking.
Little.
Very little.
John is a fellow bald man with a beard, so.
Yeah, but I don't like his beard this long, but I like the
I have a story.
Beard.
I have a story. So there's a lady at our church who would regularly comment, very good and pleasant person, and regularly would comment on on me keeping a beard when I was younger, before any relationship. And she would tell me, do you know this? So she would tell me, Arthur, you shouldn't have facial hair. Women don't like facial hair. She didn't like facial hair, and so her husband was always cleanly shaven, and so she would say, women don't like facial hair. If you get into a relationship, it's going to be an issue. And then I told her one time, I kind of got annoyed of it, and I said, I'm going to find a woman who likes facial hair. And then when I met Araz, that's one of the conversations we had, and she was like, no, I don't want you to shave, again, not this long, but, have some facial hair on there.
I call it dirty handsome.
Yeah, I'm dirty handsome. And
the hair.
and then so when I introduced them, I actually told her, I said, you don't remember this. I said, look, I found a woman that doesn't that likes facial hair, that doesn't like cleanly shaven men. So which is great. It works for me. It saves us a lot of money on razors.
Okay.
Razors are expensive.
Okay. You still buy them.
Yeah, for my head.
So
But I'll buy one of those. One of these days, I'm gonna buy one of those machines.
Saving us money.
It is, because I would buy a lot more, like in the hundreds of dollars. Now we know what to call Arthur. Dirty Handsome. Hello, all. It's nice to see you and the missus. You're a Mrs.
I know.
Mrs. Araz.
I know.
That's what they call her at school.
No, they don't.
What's up, Armando? How you doing, man?
They call me Miss Aras.
Mrs. Did you write down a philosopher theologian?
No.
What did you write? What job did you want your husband to have in the future? Possibilities.
I didn't care. As long as he was serving at church at some capacity, I didn't care what job he had. But I wanted him to have a good job so he could take care of his family.
Women, get your priorities straight. You want a man who serves in the church.
Yes.
That, by the way, it's
Can I give Carl. Sorry, I called you Carol.
Carol. Hey, Carol. Oh man.
Sorry, Carl. See, I'm horrible. One thing that someone told me, an older woman, who was happily married, gave me advice. She said, if you want to know the person, you have to travel with them or serve with them. So I told Arthur that we cannot be, her words were, you have to spend 4 seasons with them. That means go through like at least 4 different things, life things, for you to know how they are and how they react. And I added it to serving with them and traveling with them. So, or playing sports with them.
Yes.
You see people's true colors when you serve with them, because in ministry things go wrong always. There's something that will go wrong no matter how perfectly you do things. So it's very good to see the other person's reaction of when things go wrong. And in ministry, because you're serving and you get caught up in serving, you usually end up hungry. So you see the person hungry and how they are when they are hungry, because at those times it's very hard to pretend or to have that walls up. So you see the person in their true colors. So that's my biggest advice I can give anyone who's single. Either serve with the person before you start a relationship, you travel with them somewhere with a group, or you play sports with them and you can see their true colors. So what happened was, we were going on the missions trip, and I told Arthur, I said, we cannot have any relationship until we go and come back. So we went there. So 1, we traveled together with a group. 2, we served together over there. I saw how he was when things went wrong, because they did go wrong. And he was hungry. He was tired. I saw it all. And he wasn't perfect. And no one is, obviously. But there were things that I could live with. There were things that I was okay with. So when we came back, that's when we started our relationship.
Yeah, and guys, it makes sense to travel in groups like that, then, because you can see women without makeup. You can see them in the morning, like, and so you don't want to get bamboozled.
A lot of
women, especially
a
now.
lot of women wake up and the first thing they do is
That's true. That's true. You gotta like sneak up, like, hurry up, we're late for breakfast, and then they come out without makeup, and then you catch them. Okay, so how does the dynamic of this marriage work? How does the dynamic of our marriage work? One of the things that I think we've realized, there's a number of very practical things that we figured out early on that's helped. Like, for example, the way we communicate whenever there's arguments. So she is not a talker, as was stated, and I am. Whenever we get in arguments, my initial reaction is to sit down and have a debate argument, like list your points and counter arguments and rebuttals and stuff. And then when we did that, she would shut down and just not talk, and it would become very frustrating for me. But she writes, and then like we would get in an argument, and then I would have the conversation. I can't say that we would have the conversation. I would have the conversation, and I would go off to work or something, and I would get this long text from her, and I hate long texts. They're ridiculously frustrating. They're the worst form of communication, in my opinion. And it would make me even more angry. And then I would not respond to it, which would make her angry. And I would come home, and then we would fight over why she sent the text. It would just get really annoying. But one time we got in an argument, I think, where we didn't talk to each other for like a week, right? It was like at the first apartment. In the first apartment. The first time. And then, I don't know whether it was the first time or second or whatever, but she wrote me an email. Okay, like from the other room. And I remember reading the email and then going, okay, like I'll respond to this. And then so I respond. And then one of the things we realized is that worked. So maybe it's like a hybrid where if we get in an argument, usually it'd be her emailing me, or sometimes we create shared notes on our phones, like the notes app on the iPhone. And then we'll have like a written debate. And then we'll sit down and have a conversation over that, because I think like the emotions are out of it, the tone of speech and stuff like that. It helps. That's just a weird thing we do. The other thing is,
I'm going to add something to that. And I realized one of the reasons why I wrote the email is because when we would argue in person, we would go on rabbit trails, and we would never get to the root of whatever the argument was. And like we would just go on and on and on and on and on and argue. One thing would lead to another, to another, to another, and the argument would just get bigger and it wouldn't get solved. So now when I do write him emails, I actually point them, bullet point them. So, and when he does respond, he will respond to that bullet point, and then go to the next, and then go to the next, and then go to the next. So that way it's more organized, and we actually get to voice our opinions, and then come to a solution for that bullet point before moving on to the next.
This is a good point. Whenever my wife and I have a tough convo, we always eat first. Yeah, empty stomachs, and also, good food is great. Arnold has a question. He says, Aras, would you leave Arthur if he became a Calvinist?
Yes.
We don't believe in divorce, so...
No, he didn't say divorce. He said leave.
Where are you going to go?
I would take the kids and go.
Shame
away
on you.
From you.
Shame. Take my kids. Get a life. No. She will not. That's a joke, guys, by the way. Some of you guys are sitting there going crazy. Some of you guys might be like serious Calvinist haters and you think it's a justification. It's not. Which leads me to this other question. What is the topic of the biggest theological debate you had, or what do you like to debate about theologically other than Calvinism? No, so we're pretty like right on with Calvinism. I think I'm a lot more open-minded to Calvinism and a lot more receptive, I think, to the conversation than she is. I think that's because of her upbringing.
I was traumatized.
Correct. She saw bad Calvinists. I think one of the thing that got us talking was a debate over whether it's okay for Christians to drink and smoke.
I still don't agree with you.
Yeah, but you said it was a sin.
I never said
You did, man. I wish I could dig this up and show it to you. Don't you have it in like your Facebook thing?
no, my Facebook got deleted.
Oh man. Yeah. So
I said we don't encourage, because at that time I was working with junior high students, and I said it shouldn't be encouraged. It shouldn't be open. We should kind of advise them against it. But I never said it's a sin.
No, you said it was a sin. So look,
That was our debate.
We
I
were-
guess we're still debating.
Yeah, so we still are technically, and tattoos and stuff like that, but not like the sin issue. So we were going on a missions trip, like I said, and one of the conversations we brought up during that is, hey, we might have to do things that you don't normally do in your church communities or something like that. And drinking and smoking was a subject that came up. And she was like, no, it's a no thing. And I was like, no, the Bible doesn't say so. She went home that night and wrote me a page-long argument. This is
Bullet points.
this is how I remember you saying it was a sin, because you wrote the argument, and then one of the passages you used was your body's the temple of the Holy Spirit, and then I wrote her a 5-point response. Ding ding Calvinists. But I wrote her a 5-point response, and I told her, that's out of context and you got to read it this way and stuff like that. Now, she no longer says it's a sin, but she doesn't like it. Specifically smoking. She hates tattoos. I have tattoos that are not that big. She said if my tattoos were bigger, she would have never talked to me. So make sure you guys make the correct decisions in life. Now, here's a question.
And make sure you guys talk about everything when before you guys get married or even engaged. We talked about everything. So we talked about divorce. We talked about kids. We talked about how we're going to raise the kids. We talked about almost everything. So when we were married, there were no surprises. But unfortunately, we come across a lot of couples that do get married, and then after they have issues because they didn't talk about things before they were together. Or before they got married, or they talked about it and they knew that they disagreed, but they were hoping that somehow the other person would change. But a lot of times that's not gonna happen, and a lot of times it's gonna be an issue. So before we got married, we already had talked about most things that we could talk about, and of course opinions change, but at least after we got married, we knew what each person believed, and if we did change the opinion, we did it together. We talked about it and did it together. So I think that's very important that a lot of people don't do nowadays.
Yeah, and I think if you're gonna spend 2 hours watching a movie or whatever like that, it might make sense for you to spend 2 hours talking about how many kids do you want, how you're gonna raise your kids, how you want to educate your kids, in what circumstances. We spoke about travel. Because as I was looking forward to, I guess, ahead of education and then doing apologetics work and saying, hey, that might mean I travel. And she was like, well, you don't get to travel alone. So if that's going to happen. Now, because of issues, we've made exceptions. I've traveled alone, but that's not the preferred method of doing ministry for me. So... And again, we even spoke about getting more tattoos, whether that would be okay or not. Part of the reason why I don't have any more tattoos yet is because of her. So she needs to change her mind on it. We pray, Lord Jesus, hear us. Did you have an issue that Arthur was at a much less superior church from the one you grew up in?
No, I don't even know how to answer that.
Yeah, that's because, so some of these folks from this other church thought that we were sinners.
You are sinners.
Well, of a specific sort. You guys were better than us in your holiness or
We
something
are
like
better.
that. Oh, right. Okay.
We're holier.
Moving on. Moving on. Do you think Armenians should only marry Armenians? Armenians, not Armenians. Theologically, Armenians, nationality, ethnicity.
It depends. It depends on the person, and it depends on how in tune they are with their culture and what they're looking for. For example, for me, I wanted my husband to be Armenian because I am very Armenian. I have a big family, and I enjoy having gatherings. I enjoy inviting people. I enjoy having a loud house with filled with people. And
some cultures aren't like that.
yeah, some cultures aren't like that. And for example, for me, I feel like an Armenian would understand my love and my expression of love better. But I have other friends, or I even have a cousin that married a non-Armenian, and I see them perfectly fit. So it depends on the person, and it depends on their personality and what they're looking for. I personally wouldn't be able to be with a non-Armenian. And I was very specific about which kind of Armenian I wanted.
That's what I was gonna say.
So I was very, very, very specific. But for others, it's not like that, and it works. So it depends on the person. I can't say yes or no for everyone.
Okay, so for those who don't know, there's multiple Armenians in the sense of from different places. So she's from Iran. She's Iranian Armenian. My parents are from Iran, but I was born in Armenia, grew up in Armenia. And then there's Armenians from the Middle East, like Iraq and Lebanon and Syria and all that stuff. And though all being Armenian, and now it's even wider than that, right? Like French Armenians, and the person asking this question is a German, from Germany. And so all of these develop a certain kind of characteristic, and there's a certain kind of culture, especially the ones that have been in these places long. Iranian Armenians, for the most part, have been in Iran since the 1600s. That's a very long time. The Middle Eastern Armenians have been there since the genocide. So these cultures get developed. The Armenians from Armenia have a great deal of Russian influence because of communism and all that stuff. So even in the midst of that, she had preferences, and so did I, right? I would say, biblically speaking, the requirement is that the individual is a Christian, Bible-believing, God-fearing Christian, saved. But the rest is on preference. So I'm sorry, but I wouldn't, and this is, I'm not trying to be offensive here, but I need rich food for my belly. And I grew up with a mom who cooked good food. And I couldn't be with a woman who didn't know how to cook good food. She either, yeah, with flavor, right? Like,
Spices.
so even if I married someone, like I know an individual much older who's the man he's Iranian Armenian, and the wife is Hayastansi from Armenia. She learned all the Persian fusion cuisine stuff, and she's phenomenal at it. She's a great cook. So if the person is unwilling, like, it would be a deal breaker if I started dating a woman and she said, I don't cook, that's it. It's done. The relationship couldn't go on. Like, serious deal breaker. There's some women who will say, I don't cook. And I'm like, great, good for you. God bless you. Go marry someone who doesn't want you to cook, who wants to starve. Like, it's a major aspect of like a love language, I think. Cooking is important. Okay. Like, when we got married, she told me she doesn't take out the trash. She's like, I don't take out the trash. I was like, what do you mean you don't take out the trash? She goes, no, that's a guy's job. You got to take out the trash. I was like, okay, cool. I'm cool with that. But you got to cook. Do the dishes. I very rarely wash the dishes.
You used to help me more when
A lot more.
pregnant with Avo.
Correct. Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll wash the dishes to make her happy. It's a surprise. If I did it all the time, it wouldn't be a surprise. It wouldn't have the same kind of. It would be like. It would be. No, that's different. If I wash the dishes all the time, it would lose its value. So I got to do it like twice a year. No, it's a joke. Women really like it when guys wash the dishes.
But he helps me a lot around the house, and that's very important.
Yeah, there's a lot of other stuff I do. That's because you were arguing with a philosopher. That's why you lost
I didn't
the argument. Adam, what's up, bro? How you doing? That's Adam Papazian from Armenia. He draws dinosaurs.
Oh,
I showed you the things.
Hello, Adam. I've heard a a lot about you.
I talk about you guys to my wife, by the way. So interesting, so good that y'all held on to this solution because it does seem to work. It works for us. So, because if you don't deal with arguments, then they pile up and then they lead to divorce and stuff like that. So we deal with our arguments. There's various ways we, again, some of them, because we're both pretty stubborn and hard-headed, some of the stuff, it's like, there's fireworks. There's serious clashes. Like, we argue, I think, pretty intensely. Maybe we don't argue as often, but when we do, it's like boxing gloves on, metaphorically speaking, right? We're not actually punching each other. But it's serious stuff. We're going at it. So she's predestined to leave if you make free will choice to become a Calvinist. John, you're bad. Araz had a great experience with Calvinism, says one of the individuals who was the reason for the bad experiences. I'm going to wear long sleeves and gloves if I ever meet you.
Wow.
Gloves. What do you have? Did you tattoo your fingertips?
Maybe knuckles?
Oh, this is interesting. Do y'all study the word together, like in depth or devotional type styles? How do y'all practice the disciplines, basically? I can't say that we do.
I wish we did.
We don't. I'm not very sure whether I wish we did. I'm not a big fan of this. And I know there's debate over it, but I don't see any biblical precedent for studying the Bible with your wife or even reading the Bible with your wife. I think there's biblical discipline, the biblical precedent for leading and guiding your family. That's different. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing to have like I'll tell you the reasons, by the way, of a family time and stuff. Like, our kids are at an age where it's weird, and I have weird ideas about this stuff. But I feel like if we studied together, I would overpower the study so much where I think her way of reading and interacting with God would be lost. It would become a bit too heady. Like, I study my Bible in a very different way, and I read my Bible in a very different way than she does. And again, that's like, you could say, well, Arthur, why don't you let the study happen the way she likes it? It would completely bore me out of my mind and make it completely uninteresting. So some folks read the Bible together. Some folks read the Bible all the time. Like, that's their devotional time is always together. I don't like that very much. She said she wished we did.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm gonna argue your point too. I think a lot of times in marriage, especially women get lost. Like, their individuality gets lost, and they become their husband. They become whatever their husband likes, whatever their husband does. And I think it's very important not to lose who you are. And that's why I said the first thing, you need to know who you are before you even get into a relationship. Because I knew who I was, I knew my likes, I knew my dislikes, and obviously we mature, we change, and we should mature and change. But the core of it, I know myself. And obviously I as time goes on, I learn more about myself. But I don't want to lose my individuality with my relationship with God, the way I connect with Him, the way I do things, the way I think. So I wish we had some time together, maybe to pray, and we have sat down together and we prayed. It's not like we don't pray together or read together. That's not. But I wish we did more of that. But again, I wouldn't like to study the Bible with him every day, because.
Oh, clip that out. I wouldn't like to study the Bible with him.
Yeah, because it's my time. It's my time to connect with God the way my personality, the way I connect with God.
Yeah. I was going to say something, but I forgot. I'll remember it. What does less superior mean? That was a complete joke, by the way.
Yeah.
It was not even a church issue. It was like a bunch of youth kids just being stupid. Well, There was a youth group that was a lot more mature theologically and practically, and a bunch of people who were raised in the church who thought things were good. Okay, I'm Angolan. And I totally get Araz's point. We enjoy gatherings. I don't know if I could be with someone who hates gatherings.
Yeah, that's one of the things I told him. I said, we will have events that we're gonna go, and you're coming with me, like the family events. You have no choice not to come. I have friends who go to their family gatherings alone because in the beginning, that's the decision they made, husband and wife, that if the husband is busy, the husband is busy, and the woman is gonna go alone. But I told him from day one, wherever I go, you're coming with me. Wherever you go, I'm coming with you. So he has come with me to things that he didn't want to come, and he had better things to do, but he still made the priority to come with me because he's with me. He's my husband. And I've done the same with him. I've gone to places that I didn't want to go, but I went to support him because I'm not going for the other people. I'm going for him and to be with him.
But it helps that I'm a super social butterfly.
Yes.
And we go to events, and then like 2 hours later, she's like, I want to leave. And it's her like family's event. And I'm like, we just got into conversations with people. So
like work, I love that he's social and talkative, because at work, Christmas parties and stuff, the place I used to work at, I would take him so he could talk to people, and I would just sit next to him and listen. I'm a great listener. I love listening. I'm social, but as long as it doesn't require me to talk. So yeah, it was wonderful to have him there, and he would take over the whole conversation, and he would have like a crowd gathered around him, and I would just sit there and smile, and I loved it.
it's great. It works. Dear Aras, did you become a Christian when you were in Iran or after you left for the United States?
In Iran, when I was 11. So
And then she learned what that meant later on.
No, I knew what it meant.
No, like
at 11, but
like
then
connection was with God. Like you believe the gospel.
yeah,
like
I still had a connection.
Yeah, I'm not saying you didn't. Gasp! What a misogynist. If a misogynist, if that means I lead my family, then yeah, sure. Terms and conditions are great. Yeah, not in like the legal binding sort of sense. In a more important sense before God, I would say. God bless you too. Let's see. He can't wash the dishes with all that beard hair. I actually don't have like beard hair flying around the house, so it's fine.
Yeah,
I'm not a
I would
cat.
get disgusted.
I hate cats. And you're an animal lover, right?
Oh yes, yes. I love having pets. I have 10,000 of them at my house.
Such a liar. She really doesn't like animals.
No, I don't like pets.
Yeah, she likes animals. She likes to eat them.
Because animals have to be out in the wild where they belong. Animals do not belong in the houses.
I can make a theological case for domesticating animals. Like that's a part of the commission that God gives humanity to subdue and rule over the earth. So the domesticated animals is a part of
habitats.
No, in the house. Sheep and chickens and dogs, cats. Just don't like them. But yeah. This is a good point, Arthur. Honestly, after biblical standards, culture is low-key a big deal for me. Amen to that. People who say like culture is not a big deal in marriage are either don't have a culture or very confused about their culture. I wouldn't say don't have a culture. They're just not in tune or connected with their culture. Everybody has a culture. They're not connected with their culture, or they're just really foolish.
We also have to remember that we have a culture for like our society or whatever, our group of people, and then we have family cultures as well. So this comes up a lot when I tell people about church and choosing a church, because I think each group of people gathered together they create a culture. So we have to be careful that my culture, I'm Armenian. But then at the same time, I have a family culture, and if my family culture doesn't go along with the other person. It doesn't matter if they're Armenian too. Our cultures have to match. So it's the big culture and the little culture. I would say big C and little C cultures. They have to go together. And this is true when you are choosing a church. If you don't have a church or if you're looking for a church, the culture of the church has to go along with what you're comfortable with.
Yeah, amen to that. Yeah, so here I remember what I was going to say. So one of the first events that I went to was a wedding. Was it a wedding or engagement? Might have been an engagement with her family, and her mom's side. Like her mom has, how many uncles does your mom have? 5,
7? No, there's 7 brothers. 6.
Yeah, and so now these are all people that are. The youngest one is like 50 something probably. So they all have like kids and grandkids and stuff like that and great grandkids. And I go to this event, and then she introduces me to like her grandfather and, grandparents and stuff. And then we go to the table next to theirs, and she goes, "This is my mom's uncle's family." And we greet them. And we did that like 5 times, and every table had like 12 people on it. And they're all like telling me their names and stuff. And I'm like, there's no way I'm remembering all these people. To this day, I don't remember some of their names. Like, it's just like super confusing because it is so big. My family is big as well, but we're like spread out, right? Like a big portion of my family is still in Iran on my dad's side. My mom's side is pretty small, but like immediate family, I have brothers, but that's like a lot easier to manage than, hey, we're going to have a Christmas party and there's going to be 100 people there because they're all coming. Like when they do Christmas events and stuff like that with their family, it's just a lot of people. And that's like one side. Because the other side, there's a bunch of cousins, and it's crazy. But it's fun because it boosts my energy. And they love me quite a bit. Right? Is there anybody that doesn't like me in your family?
I can't answer that. No, everyone loves you. You're the best.
I'm very lovable. My wife wishes we did too, but we don't study the Bible together. It's just, it's I don't know. I don't want to say it's strange because I don't want to come down on people who do it. It's just, I have study methods that I've built over the years that they're very different from other people. Carol is a married man. Who's Carol?
Carol, I'm a married man.
Oh, he said who's Carol? That's Coral, man.
Sorry.
You guys are so hilarious.
Sorry, Carl. I feel bad. I will apologize to you in person.
Yeva Petrosyan is a married man. Look, so Yeva Petrosyan is the husband, using the wife's account, by the way. It's not like a gender fluid kind of thing. So yeah. What's up, Cody? How you doing? You remember Cody's dad, Ron? We took him out for lunch. They came from Alaska. Very long beard.
Oh, yes.
So that's Cody is his son.
Oh, hi, Cody. I was talking to my kids about your dad. We went to, because they were asking if we can live in North Pole, and I was telling them about how your dad lives there.
He lives there too.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, we need to make a trip to Alaska one of these days. North Pole, Alaska, guys. After the revolution, was it hard for your family to attend church?
So in Armenia, in Iran, the good thing about Armenians is they are semi-respected. So as long as you don't talk to Muslims and you don't preach to them, you're fine. They will not talk to you. They will not bother you. You can somewhat do whatever you want. So our church, we attended an Armenian church, so we were okay. I was bullied actually by other Armenians who were Orthodox, and they thought that because I attended an evangelical church, I was different, or I was in a cult, or so. I've gotten bullied by Armenians, but I've never had an issue with Farsi speakers. But our pastor was martyred because he started preaching to Muslims, and they martyred him. And I was actually in Iran. I remember that day clearly. I was maybe 5. And I remember the day that we found out he was martyred, very distinctly. And yeah, it wasn't easy.
People live through some serious stuff. Why is Carol so confused? You guys are horrendous.
Please call him Carl.
Let's see. Araz, who was your favorite Sunday school student?
Oh, not you.
Bam. This is dropping bombs. You can't hear that, but when I click that button, it's a bomb dropping. She's like, what is he doing? Cats are evil. Amen. I agree with Araz. Animals belong in the wild. Yeah, okay. Animals do belong in the house. On our dinner plates, of course.
That's cruel.
Would you guys consider having a white tree frog as a pet? I have no idea what a white tree frog is. No. Frogs are just like, they just seem kind of like disgusting. Turtles, I wouldn't mind, just for the kids. I wanna get 2 turtles and name one Achilles, and the other one Zeno. Whoever got that joke, she didn't. Whoever got that joke, let me know if you got it. Want to name one Zeno and the other one Achilles. It's a philosophy joke. Do I have like a... There you go. I don't have a ding. That's like a drum roll. That's a drum. Yeah, I don't have the drum. Let me see.
I did it for you.
Kids cheering, Inception, flashback. I just did a dun dun dun. Yeah, I don't know what a white frog thing is. Ara should guest host more often. She's killing it.
I appreciate it.
Look at that. Told you. We got more people in here. TK is Tedric.
Oh, then yeah, you would be my favorite. I thought that was Tomic.
Tom just got shut down, bro. Serious shut down. Amazing. Oh wow! And he made this comment. He said you're killing.
Sorry, Tomic.
Wow,
Sorry,
man.
I like you too.
Wow. Tell her you were joking. What was I joking about? I don't know. Hey, what up? What up? So, your wife's hair is just like my wife's hair. Curly hair is attractive to me. Tom is technically co-host. So no evangelicalism. No, so you can be an evangelical in Iran as long as you're Armenian or Assyrian, because it is recognized that Armenians are Christians. So there's no issues with Armenians being Christians of any sort or Assyrians being Christians of any sort. The issue is when those same Assyrians or Armenians start evangelizing to Persians. Then now you have an issue. Typically, it's the evangelicals that start preaching to Persians and not the apostolics that start preaching to Persians. So it's the evangelicals that get into trouble quite a bit. Hello, nice to meet you. Yes, that would be awesome. Going to North Pole, Alaska. We will let you try some moose that's eating it. Would you eat moose? You wouldn't eat moose? She eat... Sorry.
I'm a picky eater.
Very picky eater. And I'm not. Sorry, this has to do with the martyrdom stuff. Greetings, this is great. I've been listening in while I've been driving. Hey, what's up, Daryl? Thanks for being in here. Was that joke the turtle having a head start in the race? Got it. Clap, kids clapping. Yay. So Zeno's paradox is about the turtles and Achilles in a race. And if the turtle gets a head start, yeah, you take philosophy 101.
No, I'm taking more than one.
Okay, that's great. That's why you're able to handle me. So the turtle gets a head start, and the paradox is that Achilles would never catch up, but that seems unreasonable because obviously he's faster. But yeah, it's really cool. Zeno's paradox. Go look it up. Arutun Kokosyan. Armenians in Iran have a special status unless they start evangelizing.
I've been to Persian churches where like they've walked in and they've like stopped the service. I know churches that have been shut down because of that. The church that I used to attend, it used to have another branch for Iranians, so it was a Farsi speaking church, and they've shut it down. In Iran. The pastor is under watch, so anywhere he goes, the government actually controls them and follows them. So I've experienced that, and so they're free, or I shouldn't say they're free. No one.
They're not free.
They're not. No one bothers them if they don't evangelize.
Let me give you some difficult stuff. So suppose you're a church, all right, and this is based on a true story. So I don't want to give too much details here. Based on a true story. Suppose you're a pastor at a church, and you're Armenian and in Iran, and you get a knock on the church's door. You open it up. It's an Iranian, right? It's a Persian person who says, "Hey, I just became a Christian. I had a dream. Jesus showed up to me in my dream, and I've become a Christian. Would you baptize me?" That puts you in a very difficult position. This is what I mean that they're not free. Because if that's taken place, actually, heads over heels, of course you're going to baptize that individual. But the government can shut down your church for baptizing that individual.
Or you don't even know if that guy is a spy.
Or you don't know if that guy is actually a spy. Let's just assume it's a real person that's really had this experience. You can't invite him to your church. You can't tell him you can disciple him. So this is why you're not free. It's the appearance of freedom. Oh, look, no, you're not. Because the mindset is Iranians are either Persian or Zoroastrian. Now there's a Baha'i faith in Iran, but it's not respected by the authorities. They don't like the Baha'is very much. They're a persecuted group. So if you're Iranian, you're either Zoroastrian or Muslim. And anybody that reaches out and tries to evangelize folks then is in trouble. So yeah. Many Iranians are leaving Islam. That's true. So does that mean they would have to do things secretly? Yes. Yeah. And you can't even have the freedom to be on a phone call with people because the government's listening in. They've tapped your phones. They're listening in onto your phones and stuff like that. So plenty of people do things in secret. So that's why there's an underground church in Iran.
And they're very creative. But going back to leaving Islam, it's very interesting how God touches each person based on their needs and what they're basically personality and culture. So I used to work at an organization, and we would get testimonies of people becoming Christians, and a lot of times, so Iranians, I don't know if this is true for all Muslims, but at least Iranian Muslims believe in dreams. So dreams for them is huge.
They believe that God speaks in dreams.
Yeah. So for them, dreams are all meaningful. So God would actually teach them things through dreams. God would show up, and so I know a testimony that this person slept, and this I would say man came and read the Gospel of John. So every night he would sleep, he would get a reading of of the Gospel of John. He had never gone into a church, nothing. He didn't even know what it was. It was just like he's dreaming and he's listening to this person reading. He walks into a church later. He walks into a church and he sees a picture of Jesus, and he says, "Who is this person?" And they say, "Oh, it's a picture of Jesus." And he says, "Oh, this person was in my dream and he was reading something for me." And then he hears the sermon, and the sermon was from John, and he's like, "Wait, this is what this person was reading for me." So it's so amazing how God touches people, even if they have no access to the Bible, no access to a church. God still touches people through different ways and ways that they are familiar with.
Crazy, huh? Do Muslims in Iran try to convert evangelicals or other, like, people of other faiths? So it's not, here's the thing, is that they can. It's like, if you convert to Islam, there's no issue. If an Armenian Christian converts to Islam, they would take you head over heels. But if a Muslim converts to Christianity, then that's an issue. Do you have an interest in philosophy?
I've taken a lot of philosophy classes in college. For some reason, my degree that was required, and philosophy was intriguing for me, so I took it. And my favorite philosophy class was the logic class, where I had to solve logical formulas because I love math. So yes and no. I like philosophy, but I don't like it as much as Arthur does.
What is it like being married to a philosopher? Now, Socrates' wife. Okay, let's talk about it. Socrates was married and had kids. And during the trial, it was suggested, and this was common practice back then, that the wife and the kids would come and cry and beg for mercy for their dad and husband. And Socrates didn't allow his wife to show up to his trial, so that wouldn't happen, which he ended up dying. He's got a very interesting view of his wife and stuff. But what is it like being married to a philosopher is my question.
I don't know.
Who's your favorite philosopher?
I've never been married to a non-philosopher, so I don't know.
No, I'm not saying compare.
I don't know. I mean, there are things that he thinks too deeply about, and he has opinions about everything. But I've learned to ignore most of it. So
marriage advice: ignore your husband when he's talking. When your husband is talking, ignore him. But no, like I mean, obviously there's personality traits I have. Some of those personality traits are just because I'm wired like that, and it leads towards like a philosophical sort of thing. Some of it I'm like that because I've studied philosophy. What's one of the most annoying things that I do that is somehow related to philosophy?
I don't know. Can't think of.
Do I analyze your words and statements and stuff like that?
You used to. You don't do it anymore.
I've learned to ignore you. It's a maturity thing. It really is. One of the things I think the older you get, you realize that there's just stuff that it's just like pointless. It's like if I'm going to sit down and argue with my wife over something for an hour, I can spend that 1 hour with my family. I can spend it with my kids. I can spend it with her. Like it's like, what's the point?
I don't know if this is related to philosophy or it's just who you are, but there are times that he gets really heated about some stuff, and he only sees one side. He doesn't see the other sides. And so I just, if he gets heated like that, I just laugh at him and then just move on, because I know he's going to calm down and it's going to go away.
Yeah, that's because I'm a hothead. You know my brothers. So yeah, that has nothing to do with philosophy. That just has to do with me being crazy. I've heard about the underground church in Iran. We read that. She's saying, I think there's actually a YouTube channel, but they hide their identities. That's cool. We know some folks that do Bible studies and stuff like that with hidden identities. You can't see their faces. if a Muslim try to convert someone and that person refused to become a Muslim, would they have to be put to death? No, I don't think so. If a Muslim tried to convert someone and the person refuses to become a Muslim, no, if a Muslim goes and tries to convert an Armenian and the person...
That's why I said depends. Depends on what kind of Muslim it is. Like a lot, like the pastor that got martyred?
No. If a Muslim try to convert someone...
If they said become a Muslim or else you die.
Oh, so they will give... Yeah, they'll put some people in pickles, like... Essentially, it's like, hey, if you get the pastor to convert to Islam, it's pretty good, right? And you threaten them.
A lot of times, if they go and catch Muslims who have converted, they will give them a chance to convert back, or else they die. Yeah. And a lot of times they die.
What are your views on tongues?
I speak it and I believe it, but it's interesting because I grew up in an evangelical church, so
we have to explain something here. People don't know. You say these things like everybody knows what you're talking about.
Sorry.
Okay, so there are evangelicalism is a wide category. The Armenian evangelicals, especially regionally speaking, like in Iran, in Lebanon, and stuff like that, they tend to be not very charismatic at all. And so they're very skeptical at the very least of gifts and stuff like that. At most, they don't believe this stuff happens. She grew up in a church that didn't believe in tongues and stuff like that.
So, so here we were serving at a church that believed in speaking in tongues, and my friend started speaking in tongues, and she told me, oh, this person prays so you can speak in tongues. And I said, that's for you, good for you. I don't want it, I'm good. But then I went to a camp, and I felt like I needed more, and the way it happened wasn't right. So I started speaking in tongues at the camp. It wasn't correct the way it was done because it was forced on me. I was basically forced to repeat gibberish. But then I came back and I fought it, and I said, no, I don't speak in tongues. That was just gibberish. But then I started speaking in tongues in reality. And now if I do speak in tongues, I don't believe in speaking tongues out loud unless there's a translator. So I don't agree that...
Interpreter.
Yeah. I don't agree that people can speak in tongues on stage and without any interpretation or anything. I've heard interpretations and it's done beautifully, but if there is no one to interpret it, then it shouldn't be done. So I don't speak in tongues out loud. I don't even think my husband has ever heard me speak in tongues. But when I do speak in tongues, I actually know what I'm saying. So my brain knows and understands what I'm saying, and it's always about praising God with things that are beyond words. So I'm not limited to praising God in words, but it's beyond.
That's cool. What's the point of arguing with him? He's always right.
He's not.
So I'd be the first one to tell you that I'm not always right. Quite often I'm wrong.
And he apologizes way more than I do.
Correct. That's because I'm humble and I apologize easier. Let me tell you guys something that's very important in marriage. And this is a character trait I developed and learned from my youth pastor, who taught me how to apologize when I was wrong. Not like fake, like not to say I'm sorry just to move on with your life, just to apologize and say, hey, I was wrong and stuff like that. And that's been very beneficial in marriage, especially as a guy, because guys tend to be the ones that are a lot more stubborn in apologizing. But I will not apologize over something that I don't think I'm wrong about. I will argue it to the grave. But when I'm wrong, I apologize.
And I will argue back. I'm not a philosopher, but I can argue. If I believe in something very...
Very much.
Firmly.
Yeah. What's your favorite book?
In the Bible or?
No. Your favorite book overall.
Well, one book that I would recommend everyone to read is, it's not a book. I did it as a devotional, but I've done it and I've I've told people to do it, and everyone has loved it. Absolute Surrender.
Yeah,
What was that?
Absolute Surrender.
It's just Absolute
Yeah.
Surrender.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I have a horrible memory, so even if I read a book, I don't remember the title. So yeah, that book.
Andrew Murray.
Yeah, I think everyone should read through it at least once, and it's a very thin book. So what I would do is I would do one chapter a day, and I would do it with my devotional. So that day I would think about and kind of analyze myself with whatever the chapter said. It's a very, very good book that I recommend everyone to go through.
Okay. God, man, woman, know your place. Let me explain something here. It is not God, man, woman. It's actually God, men, and women who are equal in the creation account. The hierarchy is not between men and women. Quite a bit of people get this wrong. The hierarchy is within husbands and wives and children. So the hierarchy, which is a functional hierarchy, not an ontological hierarchy, let's get philosophical here, is only within marriage, not just generally in society, like women are somehow lower than men or something like that. When the Bible talks about this stuff, it says, wives, submit to your husbands. It doesn't say, women, submit to men. Wives, submit to your husbands. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church. Not saying you don't know this. It's just, it's very important for people to understand properly.
And again, as a stubborn person who knows what they want and a natural leader, and people knew that about me. For me to say that I submit to Arthur was, wow, what happened to you? He's taken over your life, and it's not like that. I choose. And it's a choice. Like, I can wake up and say, you know what? I don't care what you have to say. I am going to do what I want to do because I am my own person. I can do that. I can easily do that, and I'll be fine. But it's a choice I make.
Your marriage won't be fine.
Yeah, my marriage won't be. And in some marriages, that might be okay too. But I don't think it's biblical. I think as a woman or as a wife, as a Christian wife, I'm not belittling myself or like kind of going against who I am to say that I submit to you. And again, it's very important for you guys, if you're not married, to choose the right person for you, because I know that if I put him first and if I submit to him, I know that he loves me enough that he will make the right decision for our family. I can trust that he will. I can trust that he will pray about it, and whatever decision he has to make, he will pray about it, and he will ask God's hand and guidance in whatever the situation is. And with that, it's easier for me to submit to him. It's easier for me to accept what he is doing. And there have been times that he was wrong in whatever he was doing. He was wrong in his decision, and I did tell him, and we had a conversation, and we've had back and forth arguments about it. And then at the end of the day, because I am a woman and I'm submitting to my husband, I know that he is the one that's going to make a decision, and we have to live with whatever decision he is going to make.
Yeah, and it's also that we discuss stuff. It's not like I make decisions and then like show up and it's like, no, it's like we have serious discussions, obviously. Why? Because she sees things that I don't. And she has giftings that I don't, and she's stronger in those areas, and so that's always good. Future says, I can't believe I missed this. I had an appointment to go to. So excited to watch this video. Thank you for being here today, Araz.
Thank you. Do I know?
No, Future is a woman, so she's appreciative that there's a woman. How does she feel about the current revolution in Iran? Or you've become a foreign Iranian expert today. I probably pay attention to politics a lot more than. Hang on. Did you have to wear a hijab when you were growing up in Iran?
Of course.
When did you start wearing a hijab?
9 years old, you have to. So at school, everywhere. Even though I went to an Armenian school.
What is the reason why a 9-year-old would have to wear a hijab? I mean, we have a daughter that's 6. Why would a 9? Man, I'm surprised here. I really want to know why 9-year-old. Why not 11? Why is it 9-year-olds?
That thing, age.
It's because Muhammad consummated his marriage with Aisha when she was 9. Don't let Muslims tell you otherwise. That's why 9-year-olds would have to wear hijabs.
But about my feelings, it sucks. My heart hurts for them, and I pray for the people.
You're not saying the revolution sucks.
No. I'm happy. I'm happy about the revolution, but I'm sad that so many people are dying without any proper reason. But at the same time, it's sad, but it's good because other countries get to see what Iranian government truly is, and they see their true colors. It's funny because a few times Arthur made a comment about different situations, and they're like, oh yeah, they're not going to be this stupid to do this. And I said, you don't know the government. They will do it. And sadly, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but sadly,
Okay, that's okay.
so a lot of times they know that people will do whatever they want, and they don't care about their lives as much. They've made the decision to come out and to protest. But to get to them, they get to their family. So they tortured their family members. So that's why a lot of people back out, not because they are fearful of their lives, but because they don't want their family members to get tortured and their surroundings to get hurt. So they back out to save the other people. So my prayers are with the Iranian people who are protesting, and I pray that it comes to an end and there is a positive thing that comes out of this.
Amen. How did you guys start believing in these Pentecostal ideas? By studying the Bible? Seriously. And I would say just experientially. Like I started speaking in tongues randomly in a prayer meeting with like 4 of my friends.
I know a pastor who started speaking in tongues who didn't believe in tongues at all, didn't even ask for it. He just thought that they didn't exist. And one day he was showering, he just, in prayer, he just started speaking in tongues.
Have you heard Arthur speak in tongues?
No, I haven't.
Andrew Tate arrested for human trafficking, shocked or not? So I just looked this up. It seems like the first thing that comes up is 3 hours ago. And I want to be very careful with the news media on Tate, but it says Andrew Tate reportedly arrested in Romania following a police raid. So we'll see what comes out of this. Obviously, it's going to be big news. And I'm guessing some of it might be like, hey, the Romanian government's corrupt. He's talked about corruption in Romania quite a bit. It might be because they want to seize his assets. Like he got way too big. He's got a lot of stuff. I just don't trust a good amount of those Eastern European countries and their politics. Would I be surprised? No, because he's that arrogant. Wouldn't surprise me. Oh, Armando has Andrew Murray's compilation books. There's many books in one. Ara should have been a trial lawyer.
Arthur would be better.
We don't have freedom of speech in the USA. We have to censor our speech. Comparatively, I think relatively speaking, in regards to what other people have to go through.
compared to Iran, you have amazing freedom of speech here.
I just got an email. Sorry, guys. We got an email that we'll deal with it. Just got an email that's important. So, Mr. and Mrs. and the Apologia Center fam, I got to run. I have response papers and academic assessments to attend to. Blessings to you all from Germany. Blessings to you as well, and a happy New Year as that's approaching.
Afi does no. Is it morning there or is it night?
What time is it in Germany, folks?
I think it's night.
We got two people who are from Germany right now.
Guten Tag.
There you go. I've noticed that a lot of Calvinists are very often cessationist. Why is that? That's a good question. I don't know. Yeah, there's plenty of, like, John Piper is not a cessationist, but John MacArthur is, right? And even whatever they mean by cessationism kind of matters. It's nighttime in Germany.
Did I say it right? Guten Tag. I think that was right.
Why? It's
no, the 3 I read as 2.
Yeah. Well, good night and a happy New Year. This is our New Year's present to you guys. This has been fun. Anything else marriage related that we can partake? To people, do you believe that people should get married young?
Every person is different. So if you have the maturity to get married, then yes, get married. But if you don't have the maturity and you don't know yourself, then take the time to get to know yourself, get to know your weaknesses, your likes, dislikes, and then you can get married.
Okay. I don't disagree. Guten Tag means good day.
What is good night?
I haven't dug into Calvinism yet, but I love John Piper and MacArthur's messages and preaching styles. Define young. That's a good question. I would say, given our current kind of culture and stuff like that, 19, 20, 21 would be young for me. I think if people have the maturity, then they should go for it. I don't see. They don't have to be like, I wouldn't say they would have to be like mature, because I think you mature quite a bit through marriage.
No, but they have
but yeah, like they got direction in life and stuff like that, right? Joking Orthodox. No, it's a great question. Reflections on your 2020, 2022.
You can do it.
Why?
I'm thinking. I don't know.
It's been a funny year. It's been a challenging year, I think. Yeah, it's been pretty challenging for me. There's been a lot of stuff. It's been cool on this end of the ministry, because this is the most growth we've seen. We're realizing more people are watching videos, realizing that just like a lot more connections are being made. So that's been cool. It's been a difficult year, I think, right? Do you want to mention that one thing? You don't mind? So, so we had a miscarriage in September, and that was end of September, like into October. So that was like really lame because I think we love kids and we were excited and yeah, so it would have been cool. So that was kind of that was really annoying and stupid. Especially these sorts of things have in the last couple of years been happening around my birthday time.
I'm sorry.
And that sucks quite a bit. I mean, the war in Armenia in 2020 started on my birthday, and so that really sucked. And then we found out that there was complications, bleeding and stuff on my birthday, and just again, it's lame. But we'll see. God is sovereign and He's good, and yeah. So good. I mean, I spent a month in Armenia.
Good for him, bad for me.
Good for good for me, good for the ministry. It was really cool to see the amount of kind of newer folks and people excited about apologetics in Armenia. Like this is, I don't know what this is going to result into. That's the fun thing. It's like because nobody else has done it, and I'm seeing a lot of bright individuals who are coming through and who are going to be able to do this stuff so much better in Armenia. And just even having a conference in a really weird time, ended up having about 100 people. That was cool. I mean, if we do that at a different time and it works out this year for us to go and do that, I'm expecting we're going to have anywhere from 150 to 200 people, which is crazy to do a conference on apologetics in Armenia and have that. So that stuff is exciting. But there's all sorts of challenges that come with doing ministry of this sort. So yeah, predominantly financial ones, because you take a risk and it takes a lot of work and it's not very rewarding, in the sense of you don't see the immediate, I guess, you don't get the immediate satisfaction or immediate rewards from people. That's what I mean. It's not reward. It's rewarding in the long run. It's rewarding when we get emails. It's rewarding when people share testimonies. Like that stuff's all rewarding. But yeah.
I don't know. Well,
Well, you've been involved in like the school endeavor.
Yeah.
For kids and stuff.
yeah. So my year has been very difficult, in a lot of things in a lot of areas, and good in others. I love the homeschooling co-op that we have and my involvement. I enjoy every second of it. It's a lot of work to start that, but to be able to have a place where the kids can go, can have groups and friendships and learn is amazing. So I love that and I appreciate that. I'm not here, so I love getting updates from Arthur about the ministry. I'm not involved in the ministry, but it's cool every time he comes, and after every live, he comes and he tells me about who was there and all the involvement. So thank you for all that you guys are doing. Thank you for being here and all the conversations and questions, and all your support and prayers. It was a difficult year because he was gone for a month. That month was very difficult for me. It was one of the hardest months of my life, I would say, because I got really sick, and my grandpa got sick and he passed away. So I had to deal with a lot, and he wasn't here to help or to offer support. And also the miscarriage. But with everyone who, I mean, miscarriages are common, unfortunately.
Are they as common after you have 3 kids?
I don't know.
I'm not very sure about that. I know they're common like after the first pregnancy.
I would say I don't know how common they are after the third kids, but they are very common and it's very sad. And one thing that gets me through life and through any difficult situation, and I'm very blessed because God has truly comforted me, and through all this, through the whole process of it happening, I knew that God was with me and God was protecting and healing my heart from within. But one thing I can share, a verse, is Romans 8:28. All things happen for the good of those who love Him. So no matter what we go through, and that's a verse that has helped me through a lot of things in life. That no matter what we go through, no matter what it is, how difficult it is, we look around and we say, "Oh, life sucks. It's horrible. I can't believe this happened. Why does this happen to me? I'm a good person. I'm a Christian. I go to church," and all that. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we believe in a good God, and a just God, and in a faithful God, and He will use even the worst things in our lives for the good. And through, like, I would rather go through hardship if I know that at the end of it, God is going to be glorified. And that has been the thing in my life. Like, I've seen it happen. I've gone through a lot. I've seen a lot of difficult days. But when I see, and I know that at the end of the day, God will be glorified through it. And I'm happy for that. And I thank God for it. So no matter what we go through, always remember to thank God and know that He will use that for good.
Amen. Thanks, Pristine Auto Detailing. That's a super chat, Aras. She doesn't know the internet, and she just thinks this stuff is weird. So thanks for that. So he sent $20.
Thank you.
And it says, "Enjoy your evening. If I don't see you on here, Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too, Chad. Thank you for coming on, Araz. You definitely need to come back on."
Thank you.
There's now going to be a demand of, like, when's your wife going to come on and talk about you? How old is the earth in your view? Do you even have a view on this?
I know I believe in the old creation. Okay. So
there you go. What's the number one thing that convinced you Christianity was true? I guess this question could be for the two of us. So this is a complicated question, because I didn't become a Christian because I looked at an argument and then I was convinced by the argument and then became. There's people that happens to, but that's not the way I became a Christian. I essentially read the Gospels, and in comparison to everything else that what I was reading, it was true. And then I believed the gospel, that Jesus died for my sins, that I could be forgiven. I believe that. Now, I don't want to go into like all crazy ways explaining how beliefs change and all stuff like that. I would say, if I were to give someone, if somebody asked me, give me one thing that would convince me Christianity is true, I would tell them the resurrection. Do an analysis of the resurrection, and I think that will convince you. Now, if somebody were to ask me, what's the one reason you are a Christian, I would tell them there isn't one reason. There's a combination of reasons. And I would give arguments for God's existence, arguments for the resurrection, and then arguments for some other things. But yeah. What's the number one thing that convinced you that Christianity was true? Was it more experiential?
Yeah.
You'd say?
Yeah, I would say it's more experiential.
So again, it's very interesting, because she became a believer when she was 11, and then let's just say 16, 15, 16, that stuff took hold. I was 18 years old, and the reasons we have and the way we interact with information is very different at the different ages we're in. Ara should host next time.
He is amazing at what he does. And I truly believe that this is his calling, and I'm very happy that he is here and he's doing what he's doing, because I always talk about him, and I always mention, I'm not saying this because he's my husband, but I truly believe that this is his calling, and God has truly blessed him to do this. So you guys are lucky to have him. I'm not saying it as a wife. I'm saying it as a person.
Thanks. I just noticed you gave her the better chair. Props, bro. So I didn't give her the better chair because I wanted to give her the better chair. I gave her the better chair because it was practically more advantageous to the way we were sitting. So I'll tell you why. Because when I was sitting I sat on that chair first, and then she sat next to me, and she was really short and I was really tall. So I appreciate that, but I want to be honest. I didn't give it to her because, I'm such a romantic,
He's not a romantic at all.
I'm not. I communicate romance in different ways. If you were to say just reading the Gospels, that would be very rare. I read the Bible. I read the Gospels. Someone gave me the New Testament. I started reading the Gospels. I was reading a bunch of other stuff, and I was like, in comparison, there's just a difference here. And I didn't really know what the difference was, but it just seemed different to everything else I was reading. The words of Jesus, just like maybe sort of experiential. And then when I heard the gospel, then it all kind of just made sense. So condolences, thanks folks, appreciate it. We haven't really publicly spoken about that. Like, we have friends and stuff like that have known about it and slowly told people, but I think this is the first time we've said it to in this setting. 1 Peter 4:12-13 comforts me during trials. Although the context is for suffering, I think it still comforts me about his glory to be revealed. Amen to that. Let's see. Anything else, folks, before we head out? This might be, I'm not guaranteeing. No, because tomorrow we have a stream. Are we going to be able to do that? Yeah, so we're going to do a stream tomorrow. What do you mean? No, the appointment is in the morning, so I'll be back from that. This is not the last stream of 2022. For some reason, I think 2023 is ending, but I'm running ahead of myself. No, she doesn't have anything. I thought you were going to say something. Yeah, so we'll have the final stream on the 30th. And then say goodbye. Sorry, we can hear stuff you guys can't. So it's funny. So it's funny. So yeah, any final thoughts or questions that... Speak now, because Araz, I don't know when the last time is, when the next time is that I can convince her to come back on. Would you come back on next week?
Next week? Well, next week is the only time I can come on.
Oh, yeah, because that's also true, is because she's at school with the kids. So, yeah. If you guys need homeschooling advice, she can give you homeschooling advice. And curriculum advice. She's done a lot of research on curriculum. Is it curriculum or curriculi? If it's more than one.
Curriculi.
It is curriculi. Curriculums. English is such a stupid language. Would you agree?
Yes. So the number one thing I start with all my classes, I say English is crazy, because no matter what I teach, there are 500 exceptions to the rule. I had in school, I had to buy a grammar book. It says the grammar book, and it's like this thick. And so each grammar point was explained in one page, and then like 100 pages after, it was all about the exceptions that are to that rule. So English is truly crazy. And American English is even worse. So I say English is crazy. American English is crazier.
Would American English be like a ghetto version of English? No, not really, because there's like ghetto versions of English in
They just like to do
England.
things.
Americans just want to be unique. You know, one of the things that annoyed me the most, and I was watching a video the other day, in the 90s, for some reason, the Major League Soccer, the American Soccer League, decided that they were going to take penalties the way they take penalties in hockey, where you grab you put the ball down and then you run with the ball. and you're trying to trick like nobody else in the world for years ever thought about changing the way penalties were done, but the Americans decided this dumb, stupid idea that they had to drop because it was so stupid. Why? Just Americans, right? Like it's the feet and meters conversation. It's the pounds versus kilos conversation. Why? Doesn't aluminium sound so much better than aluminum? Like, come on. Okay. I loved this live stream. Getting excited there. I really love this live stream. Really, not just loved. I really love this live stream. You two complement each other very well. Thank you very much. After 10 years, you would assume that we would. But we have a similar sense of humor. Here's one thing. You guys asked a bunch of stuff about me from her. I'm just going to ask myself a question about, like, stuff I don't like about her. Okay?
No one asked you.
I'm going to vent. No. This is hilarious. So, she is the worst person to watch a movie with. She will admit this. I'm not just saying this about her. For a couple of reasons.
Couple?
Yeah. One of them, she doesn't know any actors.
Oh.
Like, when it comes to, like, having an understanding of, like, popular culture, she doesn't know what actor was in, like, what famous movie. Like, who was in Braveheart? Who directed Braveheart?
How
Right? Like, Mel Gibson, okay, was in it and directed it.
Okay.
My favorite movie of all time. But, like, if I show her a picture of Mel Gibson, she probably won't recognize him. Okay, she'll recognize Mel Gibson. And
I think I will.
I'm just very tempted to show her a picture of, like, Brad Pitt or something. Be like, this is Mel Gibson. Do you know who Russell Crowe is? The guy who played in The Gladiator? Okay, so not only that, like what you just experienced, she falls asleep during movies quite a bit. And so it would be like I don't know the amount of movies I've had to watch alone, like the second half of the movie. She fell asleep and was like, go to bed. And it's again, this marriage. And if I can't leave it, like I have an obsessive kind of thing where, like, we started this movie and it could even be a very bad movie. I have to watch it till the end. I can't leave it halfway.
He did that to Twilight.
I did what?
You watched
I did.
all the way.
I watched that stupid
All of
movie.
them, I think.
I did. I watched Twilight. How stupid was that movie, right? Glittering vampires or whatever they were. Were they glittering? Were the vampires glittering? Or, yeah. It was like dumb. I watched it for her, right? But yeah, so like I've had to watch a bunch of movies alone because
I promised that he's gonna watch Thor, or we're gonna watch it together because we had to go to the
first Thor that came out.
We had to go to the movie theater together, and somehow it didn't happen. So we decided to watch it at home when it came out. We put the movie. I fell asleep. He watched it all alone until the credits came, and I woke up.
Insane. Another thing is that she goes to bed pretty quickly and early. And I'm a night owl. I can stay up really late, and she gets really tired. And then she also passively, she will put stuff on the TV and she won't pay any attention to it. It's just like background noise. I can't do that because my attention always goes to that. It's crazy. So these are things you're gonna have to deal with when you get married to younger folks, and you have to be okay with it. The metric system won't make sense to us Americans. Love you guys, says Pastor David Azizian. That we're gonna have Pastor David Azizian. We're gonna have Pastor David on as well, and in the future, Pastor David and I will probably start a podcast where we're just talking stuff, ministry stuff. Enjoy you two speaking together. You should do this more often. Our pastor is encouraging us to do this more often. Thank you. My wife has to watch to the end. I can abandon the movie in the middle. You have a sickness.
No, that's a gift.
No, it is a sickness. Twilight is
You have-
dumb. Twilight is dumb. Air horn. Twilight is dumb. Arthur better not say that in front of my mother. I'll say it. Take a shot of that ringing stuff and take it and show it. Be like, hey, mom, look. She's a huge fan of the series. Oh man, my mom does that. It drives me nuts. Hey, so my wife and I benefited a lot from this. Thank you both. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
You guys curry.
Yeah, you guys have to come over and eat curry. So you can do it now. Well, maybe early in the new year because he's on break from school. So he's got some time on his hands. Yeah, any final words? Not like final words in the sense like you're going to disappear. I told him he has a sickness.
Oh.
For abandoning movies halfway through.
He is the one with the sickness.
That's true. Well, excuse me if I have an issue with finishing things that I start. What a horrible characteristic to have.
You don't
Some stuff.
You only finish a movie. You don't finish everything.
What are you talking? No, I do. There's things around the house where I'll like start projects, building projects, gardening and stuff like that, and then I'll just like abandon it and then come back to it like way later.
Or break it down and then not be able to fix it correctly.
Correct. Yeah, but no, I mean I could fix that correctly. I just don't want to because it's a waste of time. Okay, any final thoughts? Why should people subscribe to Apologia Center?
I already said it because you're great and you have a calling and you are amazing at what you do. You answer questions on the spot, which a lot of people can't do. And it's very informative.
Am I articulate?
Yes. I have I used to work for a ministry and we used to produce a lot of TV shows and different things. And my boss heard Arthur speak and he actually complimented and he said that Arthur has a radio voice. So I think.
Yes. He said I have a radio voice and a radio face. But
I didn't know the face part.
No, he didn't say that. I'm just making that up. He said I have a voice for radio, which I don't think I do, but you guys are the ones listening to me, not me. I actually don't like listening to myself very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have been on for an hour and 59 minutes on the dot. 2 hours. See how fast this stuff goes?
I know.
When there's questions, it's just really cool and awesome. So thank you guys. I'm actually going to do some research on the Andrew Tate stuff. I was going to make a video about something else of his. And now it might need to be that we make a video on that. We'll see. I've been going after him pretty hard because I've seen online content and online people saying they're becoming Muslims because Tate became a Muslim. And I want to put a halt to that as much as I can to the best of my abilities. So, yeah. Well, thank you guys for joining us. If we don't see you again, if I don't see you again and talk to you guys, I was going to say Merry New Year. Happy New Year to you. Enjoy it. Be with your family. Enjoy your families. Give out presents. Receive presents.
That's done already. Most
No, it's not. Christmas is 12 days. People should be giving each other presents for 12 days. Me. I'm a continuous present.
So you'll be done?
No. So there you go. This is the sort of stuff. This is normal, guys. It's like, okay. So God bless you guys. If you would like to jump on Patreon and support us, do that. We'd really love that. And in all the various other ways you can support our ministry. If you have end of the year donations you want to make, you can do that through Venmo and all the other stuff that's in the description box, or just become a monthly contributor to what we do. So thanks a lot. God bless you guys. And I will see you tomorrow.